Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Allie.
And this is a special holiday edition of But Have You Tried from the David A. Howe Public Library.
Fa la la.
You went with a fa la la and I went classic.
I like that we had the same idea,
Yeah,
but you know,
we knew
just
we needed
with
to
different
inject
vibes.
some festivity in there, and we just attacked it
Absolutely.
head on. How is your holiday season going so far?
Pretty good. I'm wishing that we were like trending a little more toward like the pretty snow and a little less the
Agreed.
like wet.
I don't like a
Soggy
mud Christmas. I do not like
situation.
a mud Christmas. So
And like I like rain and I don't mind a winter rain, but you know, when we're getting into the like Christmassy season, I'm like, this just doesn't really belong here.
agreed. Yeah, it has no place.
This isn't what we're supposed to
It
be
has
doing.
no place in this era. What have you been doing to get into the Christmas zone? Are you feeling it? Some years I don't feel it. Are you?
I know. I feel like this year has been a little funky because
Okay.
Thanksgiving was so late. But
Yeah,
I'm definitely,
yeah,
I'm starting to
I
get
like
into the
that.
zone. I've been listening to Nora Jones Christmas music, which is
Okay.
some of my favorites.
Okay.
And of course, Nat King Cole Christmas music.
Sure.
Working on Christmas
So
presents.
now it is Christmas music that
Now
you're
it
listening to with
is
Nat King Cole. It's
Christmas
not
music.
just a regular Nat
Right.
King Cole. Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say I don't still listen to the regular Nat King Cole, but
But
Christmas has also been introduced.
leaning Christmas. Okay. I made a pretty epic Christmas playlist that I'm pleased with. So
Oh, wow.
I've been listening to that quite
That's
a bit. I've got
commitment.
some Christmas vinyl, that I'm tossing on, and so that's good. I have started my Muppet Christmas season. We've watched the Muppet Babies Christmas. We've watched Muppet Family Christmas. We have plans for Muppet Christmas Carol, and that leaves two more. It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas and Muppet Letters to Santa. So will I get them all
Man.
in? We don't know.
I didn't even know there were that many
There's a
Muppet
lot.
Christmas movies,
There's
to
a
be
lot.
honest.
Christmas is the season for Muppets. So
I mean, is it ever not the season
it's
for Muppets?
it's a pretty good time. I watched Hot Frosty
Oh,
on Netflix. For a podcast I do with my friend Kendra, 902 and Here We Go. She was like, let's watch Hot Frosty. So we did, and I did, and it was not fun. So
but were you like expecting it to be fun, or like was this a surprise not fun, or was this a fully anticipated not fun? What was your attitude, your state of mind going in?
I think I misunderstood the goal in crafting a movie about Hot Frosty because I thought it was going to be sort of like a steamy romance.
Okay.
But it's very much not. It's very much just a PG, like, I've come to life and I'm a handsome fella. It's not they don't have some sizzle chemistry. It's not that at all. It's very hand-holdy PG, which I felt like, the way you call it Hot Frosty.
Shouldn't that be like Charming Frosty
It
or
should
something?
be. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
That is weird.
Yeah, so I watched that, and that wasn't that great. The only Christmas Carol I have watched this year so far is the old 1930s one with Seymour Hicks, and it's just all right. So I did watch that.
I'm trying to think if I've seen that one. I know I've seen a few Christmas
Yeah.
carols, but I definitely couldn't say which is which.
Alistair Sim is the king. I haven't done it yet, but I will do it because that's the greatest iteration in my humble opinion. But I think I'm feeling it okay.
Okay.
I think I'm mid-level feeling okay in the
Okay.
Christmas zone. Anything you got to check off the list for it to be Christmas that you haven't done yet?
I do want to rewatch at least one Princess Switch movie.
I know. And last year I was like, I got to watch more, and I never did. So
I know.
Maybe,
This year is the time.
maybe like wrapping
This
presents.
is your chance.
I roll
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'd be a perfect background
it
Christmas
happens.
wrapping
Speaking
activity.
of presents, you crafty little devil, you've been making things.
I
Is
have
that
been
correct?
making some
Okay.
things. I should
Anything-
not say too much about
okay.
what they are,
Got
but
you. All
I have
right.
made
Off
at
mic.
least some presents.
Off mic. Okay. My wife is busy knitting away. I look over there and her hands are just a blur. I can't even tell what's happening. It's just, and all of a sudden things just appear in our home that weren't there before. So,
That tracks.
yeah, it's a pretty good time all around. I'll tell you something else I've been doing, Allie. That's painting with acrylics.
That is also a crafty thing to do.
But have you tried painting with acrylics, Allie? That's what we're talking about today. Did you do it?
I did do it.
Okay. So, folks, as you might recall, Allie's challenge this time was to paint a lovely wintry scene using acrylic paints, and I had suggested Michelle the Painter, and that's her handle on YouTube, Patreon, and Instagram if you want to follow her, and I really enjoy them. The one we selected was Country Winter Barn, which we have both painted. I haven't seen yours. You haven't seen mine.
It's going to be a
It's
surprise.
not a competition. I feel that I'm going to lose if it were.
But it's not a competition.
But it's not a competition. But as I seem to recall, you've never done a step-by-step paint through.
I haven't.
And
yeah.
I did it this time. So I have done this a couple times specifically with her, though I've tried some others as well, but I like Michelle the Painter the best. And I did it. I went through step by step. I went rogue here and there, as I tend to do
I went
with
a little
these.
rogue.
I like the freedom
I
of
tried
that.
to stay on track, but I
How
will
was
admit
your
I did go a little rogue.
experience taking your cues?
It was pretty good. It was
Yeah.
surprisingly difficult, though, I will say.
Hmm.
Like, because again, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And so she's like, just do this. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, I'm not seeing where this is, the vision for where this is going. Okay. So that was kind of a weird experience.
Okay.
And the thing that I think really maybe was like the weirdest and or most difficult about it for me is like when I do a painting, I like take a pencil and I loosely outline the stuff that I'm going to do. And then I just paint those however they look.
Sure.
But this was like, we do the background, and then we do the trees.
Yep.
And then we paint more trees over our other trees.
Yeah, I like the layering.
And then we paint barn over trees, and then we paint more trees over our other trees, which is really cool. And it never occurred to me that you could do it that way, I guess. And also, I found it kind of scary because I'm like, wait, I just made these beautiful trees, and now I'm going to paint another tree on top. What if... the second tree looks really bad, and then I covered the first trees.
The trees in the foreground are just sort of like bare, like branches and things. I have a lot of difficulty with that, like making really thin but defined lines. I don't know why.
It's really hard.
I'm doing.
You need one of those tiny little brushes that only has like 4 bristles.
I know, but even with that, it never.
Know. It's really hard.
So I was really happy with some pine trees in the background, and then I painted, a tree over it as we were instructed to do.
I know.
And I was like, oh, but I like that other.
And that part in particular, she was like, just go for it. Just like put it in your tree. And I was like, you're assuming I can do that. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have like, this is the place where I paint, or is it just wherever the mood strikes you?
I have a little easel that I usually use if I'm doing like acrylics.
So you're standing. Are you standing?
It's a sitting easel.
Sitting easel. Okay.
And
mine is a little tabletop.
Nice.
Tabletop easel. Yeah.
I used to... anytime I was doing any kind of art, I would just like lie it flat on the table and do it.
Okay.
And then I remembered that easels are a thing that maybe are intentionally designed to like not give you neck pain after I was having neck pain every time I was trying to do any form of painting or anything like that. And I was like, wow, maybe I should get one of those.
Yeah.
And save myself future, chiropractor visits.
Okay. I got a lot of my paints locally. I got a lot of them at Inspire Crafts, which is like just outside of downtown here. So that was cool to go and be like, oh, I need this color, and realize like we could do that locally. So
I know. I love that place. That's where I get most of my crafting supplies too.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of my brushes and stuff there. So really cool to have that locally. Yeah. So we have a little like a side room that's sort of off the kitchen area. And so I have a table there and a little tabletop easel. And I have, when I was in high school, I had a Coca-Cola collection. Americana. I don't know. I've mentioned this before.
It does feel very on brand for you.
Yes, it did. I had this big Coca-Cola glass, so I fill it with lots of water, and I just kind of sit there, and I prop my iPad up on a music stand and just, like, go for it. Were you also sipping? Because it is a paint and sip.
I wasn't sipping.
I did some sipping.
I should have been. I didn't think about, like, I got down and I was like all ready and I started playing the video and she was like, this is what I'm having for my like nice tea that I'm drinking. And I was like, that's a really good idea. But like, I'm already sitting here with all my supplies out.
I know.
It's too late. Yeah. I haven't. So if I do one again, I'll know ahead of time to bring a beverage with me.
I have never, like, I've always kind of used this same setup and everything. It's like right by a window, and it is kind of tucked in. Like I have to sort of crawl into it, and so like once I'm there, I'm there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I like to just sit down and power through. You know what I mean? Not like do half of it and then come back and do more of it. I want to just like be done.
Finish it.
Yes. But it was hard with this one because there was so many levels where it's like it would have been better if I was more patient to let things dry a little bit
that's
longer.
Fair.
So I think maybe that is a mistake that I made. But overall, I felt like it was a pretty good experience. I've done things that I liked better than this. And there are certain parts of it that I look at it and I'm like, I hate that. I should have redone it, which is what I like about acrylics. You can let it dry and just kind of like, let's do that again. I didn't really do it this time, but I was unhappy. There's a little winding road that goes to the barn. My spacing was off, and I didn't like the way that went. And some of the levels of the snow, I was like, no, I don't like that. But I'm always super critical of it. And then once it dries, it looks so much better.
I know. And you like have some space from it, You're not like staring at it, like overanalyzing everything that you messed up on. It's a lot easier to be like, oh.
Is there something specifically that you dislike about yours? What's the thing you're most critical about?
I think the spacing of my road is a little weird too.
Okay.
And you're supposed to put a fence in next to the road, and that's the main place where I went rogue, because I was like watching her put in the fence, and I was like, the way that I made the road, the fence is not going to work there. So I just skipped the fence.
I did the exact same thing.
That's so
The exact same thing. I had the road and she started doing the fence and I was like, no.
And I
don't
was like,
think so.
also I'm
I
painting
don't
over the
think so.
road and I don't trust that this fence is going to
No.
look good, even a little bit. It's
No,
just
I
gonna
was
mess
worried
things
about
up.
the relative size of the fence too. It's like I couldn't quite, like it didn't,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I just skipped that entirely. I also did, I think, only 2 trees in the foreground and she had maybe 4 or 5 in the picture. So, and I feel like the barn in mine is a little bit closer. So it was definitely the road that I was the least.
The road is a little tricky. And my foreground trees, I also will say, some of them are okay, but there's at least 2 that I'm like,
Okay.
that's kind of weird.
I'm not thrilled with mine. What is your favorite part? What's something that you step back and you were like, okay, yeah,
I really like how the sort of background pine trees came out.
gotcha.
Which I was surprised by because I was making them and I was following her steps and I was like, yikes.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm trying to do exactly the same thing
Yeah.
you're doing and it's not looking the same.
Yeah,
But then once I started putting the snow on, I was like, wait, these
Yeah.
are kind of nice.
Yeah.
These are kind of good.
yeah, that makes sense. I think for me, I liked the slats of like the old red barn siding. I liked the way that turned out the best. I was happiest with that. So, all right, should we just reveal? This is
I
exciting
guess so.
I've never, I mean, I know you're a very creative person. Like I've read some of your books, but I've never seen you paint something. So
This is
this
a
is
whole
me
new
putting
territory.
on pressure. So let me see.
Okay.
Mine is in a spider. I just want to tell everyone mine is in a Spider-Man bag from Spider-Man Worldwide, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man eras. So I was very delighted to find this. What did you bring yours in?
Just a paper bag from
Okay.
the grocery.
All right, but that feels right.
Yeah.
That feels right for you. So, all right, let me have it.
All right.
Are you nervous? Let me see. It's so good. It's like exactly like that's very good.
I don't think it's exactly like hers.
Well, no, it's not exactly like it, but it's
but like,
much
okay, you
closer
see
than
that
mine.
weird, that I feel like these branches on
yeah.
this tree.
No, my branches are.
They look super like the tree that wants to fall over. It's like
Okay.
very top heavy.
Can I see it?
Yeah, here you go.
So what did you paint it on? Tell the nice people. Because I have like
A
a pad,
canvas?
yeah, like a canvas, like
Okay.
a wood backed canvas.
yeah,
that
I
you have here.
I like try to get some canvases when I'm in a place where I see them because I know that sooner or later I'll use them.
Yeah.
And this is the one I had lying around, and so I said, "Well, this is the one we're using."
I really like your colors in the sky. I like that blend. I think looks just like really.
I was scared
nice
that it
and
was
stormy.
too dark, but then once everything else
Yeah, I mean,
started
there's
to be
just so
put in
many
place,
layers
I
and
was
stuff.
like,
Yeah,
"Wait."
those pine trees. Yeah, your spacing and sizing, I feel like, are much more accurate for the guide picture. So yeah.
Well, I
Mine-
kind of wanted to like change it up a little more and like space things out differently because she's like, well, here's not where I'm putting my barn, but you could put yours somewhere different. And I'm like, but if I do, I won't be able to
Everything else-
follow
yeah,
the rest of
everything
your
else
directions at all.
will be off. Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
I'm
So mine is
scared.
just on a flat canvas. So I have
Okay,
like tearaway,
like a canvas
little-
panel.
Yeah, like a canvas panel. So, all right, here we go.
I like it.
Do you? I mean,
yeah.
it's different than hers. Like looking at
I
yours,
think that's really cool
I
though.
see just how much yours is like
I
representative.
I
there.
feel like yours is so like textured, and that's something that I wanted to do with mine, but like did not. It's not mine. Isn't textured like at all. Basically,
See, that's what interests me the most, and that's actually like why I started. I can't remember what it was, but I was watching somebody do acrylic paints, and they were using like the sort of like knives. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Those,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Flat. That's the texture is what interests me the most. So whenever I do it, even if I'm not doing like a really textured one, that's just what appeals to me most. So I try to make it like a little chunky.
I think
'cause
you
that's just the
succeeded
interesting-
because
Thank
it's like
you.
kind of like impressionistic and like I don't know. It's like very painterly, as my painting professor
Ooh.
would always say.
Okay. All right.
So
Yeah,
do you
I mean,
have any of those like little? I forget what they're called, like canvas palette palette knives.
Yeah,
Palette knives.
I do, and I've messed with them a little bit, but I didn't in this one in particular. But yeah, there's the pine tree that I really like that's now covered by this. But
Yeah,
yeah,
tragic.
these branches, I just can't do like the light wispy touch. I don't.
But I don't know. I
quite
feel like
have that yet, but-
they're very like firm, but I feel like that matches the style.
Yeah.
I feel like it works.
It's interesting to see because we both were using the same guide, obviously. So it's interesting to see. Hold yours up again, will you? Like where they're the same and where they're different. So we'll have to. Yeah, I mean, definitely they're from the same.
They're
thing.
from the same reference.
see,
But I
don't
like
I
that
don't
they're like
this road and stuff. I
so
don't know.
different in style. I feel like that's something that's cool about that is being
Yeah.
like it's the same source material, but
I really like the fan brush, like the wide flat. That's one, like, I used a lot of that with like the snow and stuff to make it look more, I don't know, dusty or whatever. But that's the one I'm always like, even when it doesn't call for that, I'm like, maybe if I just run that
just
over
a little fan brush,
bit and
don't
just kind
hurt
of like
anything.
mess this up a little bit, it'll
That's
land
funny.
in a way that I like. So, yeah, I was every time I do this, like literally every time, I'm like, I hate this. This is the worst thing I've ever done. And then it dries, and I'm kind of like, okay,
I guess that's fine.
all right, I
Yeah,
like it okay.
that's fair.
So,
Well, something that I remember being told, I think like as a child in an art class, is that like you're not supposed to view your art from like where you're working on it.
oh yeah,
Because it's like all meant to be viewed like a few feet back, like if you
True.
were in a gallery or it's
Yeah.
hanging on a wall or whatever. And so stuff that like looks like way too much and like really weird when you're close to it, when you're like a little bit back,
yeah.
it kind of just like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
looks better.
So, what do you do when you're not forced to paint a winter barn by me in a But Have You Tried segment? Like, if you were just going to sit down, you got your paints, you got your canvas, you remembered your tea this time, like, what's going to come out? Is there a style or a vibe that you tend to lean towards?
I feel like a lot of what I've done, I do some landscapes, but also like still lives. And I know that like a lot of people who are like legit artists are like,
Yeah.
I paint from nature. But I find that really difficult. And so I often use a reference image because the
Okay.
part where you take something that's 3D and you make it 2-dimensional is really, really, really hard to me. That's definitely like the hardest part.
Yeah.
So I just usually skip that
Okay.
part entirely.
Okay.
So, like some of the ones that I did recently-ish, I had these like drawings that were covers of this like Cook's magazine that my mom had that were like leeks and like artichokes, and I did those. And I was kind of like imitating the drawing, but like
Yeah.
trying to add some more color and like, I don't know, whatever. So I feel like usually it's something like that. And there's one that I was working on where I think we might have talked about this already, and you laughed because it was a nerdy thing to do, and it's
Okay.
still a nerdy
All
thing
right,
to do.
let me hear it.
I like set out a little setup with
Okay.
a cup of my favorite tea
Yeah.
and some like bread and oranges and stuff, and took a picture of that, and then I was like painting from that reference photograph. And I still need
That
to
seems
fix
fun.
that because it's
Okay.
mostly done except for like a little shading that I messed up on the bottom. But
I guess I've never really gotten too deep. The reason why I like the guide so much is because I don't really feel like it's clicked into me exactly how to, I don't know, frame the image that I want and like what's close, what's far away. Like I'm just like the perspectives and stuff. I don't like. I need to work on that.
yeah, that stuff is
more,
really, really
know.
hard.
So I feel, most drawn to these guides just so I can, it's like anything. It's like once you get used to like holding a brush in your hand and dipping it into paint and then like putting it on a canvas, like it's so much easier to, like once you've broken that initial spell that like, oh, I couldn't possibly do that, I
Right.
find it's just a lot easier to be like, and if you don't
Yeah.
like it, whatever. But
Yeah. Well, and I feel like something that I really appreciate about painting is that it's like, I mean, I know so many painters who like paint very precisely and it's like so perfect and
Yeah.
lifelike and incredible. But like, I feel like the way I tend to paint is it's a little messier, and that feels freeing for me, ironically, because if I'm like trying to draw with a pencil and it's like those tiny little lines,
yeah,
and I feel like it's like all the imperfections are like so obvious to me.
yeah.
And it takes forever to like shade everything.
Mhm.
But like because paint is more, it like globs around and smears and stuff, I feel like some of the innate like messiness of that
Yeah.
helps me overcome my perfectionism a little bit because I have like accepted from the get-go that it's not going to be like perfect.
Yeah, I agree, and that's kind of why I like, or why I lean towards acrylics, because I feel like there is that messiness to it. You know, like it can be thick, it can be chunky, it can be like multiple layers, and it doesn't have to be. I don't know. It's in some ways I feel like it's more forgiving because you can just kind of like start from scratch if you have
Right.
to, like in a way that I don't really think you could with watercolors. you
No.
know, so
yeah, watercolors are not very forgiving.
yeah. So I think, this is definitely the way for me. I tend to like more of like a nature image. Like it seemed like if I'm going to pick a puzzle, you know what I mean? It's like I like sort of like, oh, the sun is setting and there's like, I don't know, a car on an old road or something like that. I boats. I go for a lot of boats. So that was the first thing I painted was like a rowboat, like at a beach. That was the first thing that I was like, oh, I think maybe that's it. Like maybe I did paint a picture this time. You know, like I'd done some other things and I was like, whatever. That feels like arts and crafts. But then there was this boat that I did and I was kind of like, okay. And that was kind of a confidence booster to try other things. And I've tried some weird things here and there, mostly with guides. And I don't know. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. And then my wife and my son are both like, it's great. And I'm like, you don't know anything. It's stupid. I'm terrible.
I feel like that's like a necessary part of creation of any kind, of like showing it to your friends and family.
Yeah.
And them being like, wow. And you being like, you don't understand.
Yeah,
it's horrible
it's
and
bad.
I'm worthless.
You have to say that.
Yeah.
So, well, I genuinely like yours, and I don't have to say that. So I could, you know, I've rejected lots of things you've suggested on the show. So
that's
I mean,
true. I know that
know,
your opinion is valid.
even this is
I like yours as well.
Thank you. All right, so we will put these up. I mean, places, you know, on our social media. We could maybe put it on the Tumblr for But Have You Tried, which we haven't messed with in a while, but it still exists. So you can see our pictures on the library's social media. And we have a display up right now on the actual But Have You Tried bookshelf with books on acrylics and paintings and how to get started and things like that. And you know, just do it. I feel like, you know, the Nike motto. There's just sit down and see what happens, because it is fun. I mean, there's something very rewarding about starting with a blank page and ending with
something.
A picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's like good or bad, it doesn't really matter, because like you did it.
You did it.
And like,
and if you enjoyed the process, that's really what matters too.
Yeah. Do you have anything on your list that I know you want to fix the one that you started, but do you have another? Was there something percolating in the background?
I have this idea to paint like an exterior image of our apartment.
Oh.
The one painting class that I took in college, I did a painting that was of the front of my parents' house, but like kind of a weird angle from a picture that I'd taken. And it came out nice, and I felt like it was just kind of a fun way to like memorialize like my childhood home, basically.
Sure, yeah.
And so I thought doing something similar would be fun. So I have some pictures that I've taken for reference images. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little nervous because it's like lots of straight lines and right angles and perspective.
Yeah.
But I think that's next on my painting plan list.
Okay. I do love how with that kind of thing, you can be like, that needs a little shadow, or that needs a little glint of white on top, because you can really fix those wonky lines.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that with the trees in this picture. I was like, oh, that sucks, but a shadow will fix it. So,
yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't think I really have anything particular in mind. I did put on a schedule. I've been using this scheduling app that I originally was going to use for like serious things, but I ended up more just putting like fun things for me to do on it. So I did put paint a picture on that app, and so whenever that rolls up, I'll have to do it. I'll be required to do it because I assigned it to myself
serious.
Months ago. So
when that happens, maybe I shouldn't ask this question.
Okay.
I'm scared to open doors of possibility.
Oh, I'm scared too, but go ahead. We'll get through it together.
If that comes up, you're like, okay, today's the day, and the app says paint a picture. Do you like definitely drop everything and do it that day?
I think I got to do it. Yeah.
You don't ever push it off to the next day?
It's like anything. It's like we were talking about last year in our New Year's resolution, and it was like, I'm going to exercise more regularly. It's like I can be on a hot streak and then I miss a day and I'm like, well, we had a good run.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel like with scheduling myself. Like if I start to skip,
to be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. Then it's all downhill.
Yeah.
So maybe that's probably wise. But I am impressed because sometimes I am like, I want to do this, and then I'm like, today isn't going the way I thought. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
Yeah, I have definitely, like, I've been using the app for like a month or so, and there's definitely been times where I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot to do that thing, but I must. So, it's been a good motivator for sure. Yep, and now we see what else I have to be motivated by.
That's true.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I know you like painting, and it's a very relaxing activity.
Sure, it is.
Something else that's also kind of relaxing and good for while you're crafting,
okay,
put on the background, is music. So have you ever tried the musician Jens Lekman?
It's like you'd make things up. You know what I mean? Like you just make things up. And no, I have never. What is this?
Okay, I would have been shocked, to be honest, if you had tried.
Wouldn't it have been cool if I would have been like, oh,
that would have been fantastic.
I'm a huge Jens head. Of course I know.
Would have definitely doubted you. I would have tested you a little bit to be like, are you sure? Jens Lekman is a Swedish musician who I discovered in college.
Okay.
I usually don't like...
We had very different college experiences, you and I. We did.
Fair enough. I usually don't go like looking for new music very often.
Sure, but
which is
when
something,
in Sweden, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's
what
true.
they-
It's something that I wish was different about myself, but I
Okay.
haven't done a lot to change.
All right.
But at one point, I was
Well.
actually listening to Spotify's like, here's what we recommend based
Okay.
on your tastes. And a song by this artist called Postcard to Nina came up, and I thought it was really fun
All right.
and just kind of like quirky.
And that sounds
but
like a Bell and
musically
Sebastian
interesting.
kind of title.
It
Doesn't it?
it
I
has
mean-
a little bit of a Bell and Sebastian vibe.
Okay,
I'd say
all
it's a little.
More-
It has a
more
different
Swedish,
tone.
would you say?
Yeah, more
It's-
Swedish for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest that you listen to the albums Life Will See You Now
Okay.
and It's the Linden Trees Are Still in Blossom.
Okay.
If you think you're only going to have time for one, go for the Linden Trees Are
No,
Still
I'm
in
going to
Blossom.
listen to both of them.
But,
I'm
yeah.
going to listen to both albums. That's going to happen. Maybe while painting.
Maybe while painting.
We don't know. We don't know.
That'd be
we'll
fun.
see. So what is the genre? I mean, is it
Indie,
folky, like
folk.
indie folk kind of
Folky,
vibe?
pop,
Okay.
rockish.
Have you tried Rufus Wainwright? Have we talked about this?
No.
I'm gonna tuck that away.
Okay.
That might be one down the road. I feel like that would be a slam dunk for you. All right, say the name again because I already forgot it.
Jens Lekman.
That's what I'm
and
gonna
it's
be.
spelled different from how it sounds, so
That's
I'll write it for you too.
Okay, so it's like a puzzle. It's
Yeah.
like a puzzle and an assignment.
This is really a brain teaser on so many levels.
Okay. Well, I've got some listening to do, and listeners, you can listen along with me.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, it'll be the new year, and we'll be back to do a rundown on, I think we settled on a top 3.
Yes.
Top 3 books, movies, shows of
And then-
2024.
And then top 3 like random things,
Yeah,
right?
random things,
Yeah.
whatever you want. Yeah, that's fine. And are we going to do things that came out in 2024, or is it anything goes?
I
Have you
think
rediscovered the show MASH?
I
for the
think
first
we
time?
need to say anything goes because I don't know if I have
Not
3
hip enough.
that came out in 2024
Not
for all
hip
of those
enough.
categories.
Okay, that's fine. So it's a free for all.
It's
I
a
love
whatever we experienced in this year.
it. Okay, well, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a very happy holiday.
See you next time.